Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day.
Well, hello there. This is Kelly, and you are listening to In Her Voice, and I'm coming at you with another walk and talk. It's a little bit breezy today, so if you hear some wind noise, that's why. But I want to start today with a little story. So my youngest son is almost 14. So it makes me feel very old. But he does this thing where even for activities that I know he is going to enjoy and has enjoyed in the past, he doesn't like to begin them. He doesn't like to start them. And he really struggles with transitioning from one thing to the next thing. And it's not because he's not going to like it or because it's not an enjoyable activity that's coming up. It's almost like he forgets how much he likes it. We've talked about this before. Like I've said, can you acknowledge that this happens sometimes to you? And after he gets into the activity, he loves it and he's glad he did it. And we talk afterward and I'm like, you did that thing where you didn't really want to start that even though you knew you were really going to like it. And he'll admit it. He was like, yeah, I see this tendency, this having a hard time of transitioning in myself. And I see it in many of the clients that I work with and the women that I'm friends with. And it's really interesting to me. I think it's interesting because particularly as adult women, we know the value of being productive, and we understand that we need to fill our days with a list and with the things that we say we're going to get done and the things that we're going to do. What happens is we get sometimes stuck in the transition, just like my son gets stuck in the transition. The transitions become challenging. Maybe some people can just go from task to task to task with ease. Well, I'm not one of those people. What I want to talk to you today is about a strategy to help you move with ease from one task to another task. And also a way to give yourself some deep self-love while you're at it. This strategy that I heavily employ in my life, I call buffers. I create buffer zones. I have come to acknowledge that I can't shift from doing, say, recording a podcast to doing work for the orchestra that I work in without any sort of transition time. I need a buffer. I use my Google Calendar to schedule just about everything, including my buffer times. And I find this to be really, really important. So what does a buffer look like? Well, it can just be space. It can just be time. But for me, as I've developed this strategy of using buffers, I've come to recognize that when I'm more intentional about my buffer, the more effective it is and the less time I need for it. What I used to do is maybe when a buffer time came, I would think, I'm on a break, and pick up my phone and check Instagram. And then 20 minutes later, I'm still scrolling on Instagram. And I don't feel like I've really rested or had any sort of break or really let my mind just be at all. I've just been looking at other people's stuff on Instagram. And so I started to recognize, hey, that is not really an effective buffer for me because it feels like time wasted. What works better for me is taking intentional breaks during these buffer times. So what I do now is I set a timer. So if I'm moving from one task to another, I recognize I need 20 minutes or 30 minutes of blank time. And I set a timer. And then I decide what I'm going to do during that time. And I'm really intentional about that. So maybe that looks like sitting out on my deck, literally just sitting there. Or maybe that looks like reading a book. Sometimes my buffer will include a meal. And when it includes a meal, it's longer than 20 minutes because I want to eat and then I want to rest. So I just came back from a vacation. I was gone for a week. And the funny thing about buffers is that you also need them in relationship to the length of time of what you're doing. So I was on vacation for a week. I needed longer than a 1 hour buffer. So I gave myself an entire day to be a buffer. I did do some things on that day. I got laundry done and I sort of got myself organized, but I didn't do any work on that day. And I took a nap on that day and I read on that day. And I really just allowed myself to ease back in to my life. And that buffer helped me to do that. If I had just dove right back in to all of my work and all the things that I have on my to-do list, I think that it kind of would have wrecked the rest that I had gathered into my body on vacation. Essentially, what I'm trying to do throughout my day is have these little resets, these little buffer times to reset my brain, to reset my body, to feel ready and excited to do the next thing. And one of the things that you can do during a buffer is you can think about what's coming. What is the next task? What am I looking forward to in that? And honestly, maybe you're looking forward to having it done, but that's great too, because that gives you that motivation and that excitement to get it done. So this works for things that you might enjoy, things that you might not enjoy. It works for laundry. It works for cooking. Actually, interestingly enough, for me, cooking dinner is a buffer. Like, that is something I really enjoy. So it doesn't feel like a chore. And so the other thing to think about when you're thinking about buffers is the things that you do inside of them doesn't necessarily have to look like what other people would look like. Maybe your rest is going for a walk. Maybe your rest is laying down on your bed and closing your eyes for 20 minutes. Maybe your rest is cooking a beautiful meal. Maybe your rest is snuggling with your kids for 5 minutes or whatever. There's no wrong way to do it. I really want to encourage you to think about your week and to take a look at your schedule and to slide in these buffers and then see how you feel at the end of the day. What I notice when I'm using this strategy for myself is that I don't feel so exhausted at the end of the day. I don't feel so depleted at the end of the day. I feel fulfilled, I feel successful, and I feel still ready to spend time with my husband in the evening or to hang out with my kids in the evening instead of just curling up in my bed at 7:30 and going to sleep. And I like that. That's something that I want more of. I want you to try, just maybe even a day, pull out your calendar and schedule in what you have for the day, and don't schedule things back to back. Put in a little buffer, and I like to make mine color-coded. So all of my buffers are always gray, and I don't always schedule them in. You don't have to be rigid about it, but when I'm very busy, I do schedule them in. Otherwise, I won't give them to myself because I think, oh, well, I need to get this done and I need to get this done. It's amazing how we confuse busyness with productivity. And what I have found about buffers is they make me more productive. I can do the same task in less amount of time if I've had a buffer before, and I know I have a buffer after. Something that might take me an hour and a half without a buffer will only take me an hour with a buffer. It really counterintuitively will increase your productivity, and more importantly, will increase how you're feeling about your day. And that's really what this is about. I want you to feel good about your day. I want you to feel like you've been productive. I want you to feel rested and not ragged. Doesn't that sound really great? And I want to be transparent with you. A coach that I have worked with in the past is the one who taught me how to do this. And she helped me. And I put this out there to you because sometimes I think that when people speak with a voice of authority, that other people think, oh, well, they just know. Like, how do they just know? How do they just know what to do? They just have it all together. No. We learn it just like you learn it, right? It's through discovery. It's through asking for help. It's through getting support when you're totally burnt out. That's where I was. I was totally burnt out. I was doing all the time, and I just felt crappy. And so I had to get help for that. This is something I'm still working on, with help, by the way. So if you're feeling like, I have no idea even where to begin, how do I start? How do I take back my life in such a way that I get to decide how I want to feel on a day-to-day basis, where I have control over how I'm feeling? Yes, you can actually control how you feel. If this is you, I want you to know I can help you with this. I can help you take back how you're feeling each day. I can help you connect with your inner voice and understand what you can do to feel the way you want to feel when you put your head on the pillow at night and when you wake up in the morning. I can help you learn how to feel rested instead of ragged, how to feel fulfilled instead of unsatisfied. So if this is calling out to you, I encourage you to apply for a deep dive session. You can do so right on my website at kellycovert.com. And just head on over, tap the button right on the main page, and fill out your application, and then we can get started. This is your reminder. You are worthy. You deserve to feel the way you want to feel. You deserve to be able to say, I feel happy. I feel rested. I feel fulfilled. I feel joyful. You deserve that. You deserve that. It's time for you to take it back. You are worthy.